why I'm nearly done with collecting physical media. Hello and welcome to this week's video. Now this week I want to talk to you about a issue that I know a lot of physical media collectors reach at a certain point. Indeed, I made a video last year called "When Do You Stop?" and I think I'm at that point for a number of reasons. Now, as regular viewers of this channel will know, I moved countries last year. I'm thinking of moving again, simply because the house is just too big for me. It's a 3-bedroomed house. The garden was way bigger than I thought it was, and I have absolutely no freaking interest in gardening whatsoever. And it's too freaking big and too much for me to maintain. And the truth of the matter is, I don't really need a 3-bedroomed house. A 2 or even 1-bedroomed apartment would suit my purposes, providing it's reasonably spacious. Now that would mean I am going to have to get rid of a lot of furniture. Most of it, half of it is stuck in 2 other rooms besides my bedroom that I never use and is too full up anyway. So I might as well have got rid of it over there. But the other issue I'm looking at, because I was actually looking at a 1-bedroomed flat the last month. I didn't get it mainly because I hadn't sold my house yet. So, and I'm like, I could get away with this. I could get away with this in terms of like bookcases, in terms of like stuff that I need for the most part. And then I started thinking about all this crap that I'm dragging around with me. And again, I'm getting rid of a lot of this crap because a lot of it isn't even mine. It was like my mum and dad's. Hell, I've even got 2 guitars that belong to my bloody brother, and he hasn't even got room to them because he lives in a bloody RV. I was like, why the fuck am I carting around everybody else's crap? I've got enough of my own crap. Yeah, and that's kind of when I started thinking about this. I have got enough of my own crap. Even in terms of like getting rid of everything else, everything extraneous. I've still got more than enough of my own stuff. And that's when I started looking at all the physical media, and I started realizing, an awful lot of this I really don't need because I really don't use. Now, I'm not really talking about, to be honest, most of my TV stuff. Like my Doctor Who collection, I've shown my Doctor Who collection, my Doctor Who bookcase. I wouldn't get rid of that. I did a TV thing last week, I think it was. Or the week before, something like that. Honestly, I wouldn't get rid of 99% of that. Maybe a couple of things I could probably get rid of because I really don't watch anymore. For the most part, though, I still use that stuff. What I'm really talking about, in all honesty, is movies. Now, I love movies. I always love movies. Not modern movies, obviously, but, But the reality is, I don't really watch movies very often. I tend to watch movies like maybe once a week, if that. So why do I need, 1,000, 1,500 movies in my collection? I mean, I don't know the exact number. Obviously, a lot of it is, like I said, TV. But there's what? There's at least 2 bookcases worth full. 3 bookcases. Sorry, 3. Because one of them is just pure 80s. And it's like, do I really need this? Now again, this isn't about streaming, because I don't really care about streaming. I wouldn't trust streaming in terms of replacing my physical collection. I kind of see streaming as just as like an alternative to the old video shop. I might rent something on there if I want to see it, and I don't want to spend $30-40 buying it on bloody Blu-ray. And that's fine. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is like, am I going to watch this stuff? And does it mean anything to me? I mean, I remember thinking this like even in the early 2010s, I remember thinking when I was coming out of the cinema for something, and I thought, oh, that was decent. I'll probably get it on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. And then I kind of thought, when is it going to stop? You know? And I think with movies in particular, it's, again, how many times am I going to watch this? Am I going to watch it again? Because and the other issue is blind buying. Now, again, regular viewers of this channel will know last year, I did a couple of vids, pickup vids to showing like new Blu-rays that I'd picked up. The majority of which were blind buys. And I think there was some, I can't know the exact number, but over the couple of videos, I think there was something like 10, 11, 12 DVDs or Blu-rays that I was buying that were blind buys that I'd never seen before. That I was getting either simply because I liked the cast or that somebody on YouTube had given it a good review. And the reality is, out of that number, be it 10, 11, 12, there's like 3 that I actually really enjoyed. I really liked Howling 2. I really liked Alone in the Dark. I really liked Soul Survivor. The rest of them, I either didn't like, wasn't interested in, or I still haven't even bothered getting around to watching because I'm really not that bothered. And it's like, yeah, well, that's stopping for starters. And I know there's this, it's FOMO, isn't it? It's the fear of missing out. And I guess there's a truth to that because, like I said, I liked those 3 movies quite a lot and I will watch them again. But there comes a point where it's like, spending an awful lot of money, and again, it's just clogging up space, or I've got to get rid of them, which is just a pain in the neck. And honestly, even talking about like my 80s movie collection, because I love 80s movies, I was looking at it the other night, and there's like 8 shelves on there. There's probably about 2 shelves worth of stuff I could probably get rid of or live without. That are either blind buys that I didn't like, or ones that maybe I liked when I was a kid, and I picked them up, but I've not got around to watching them. So how interested am I really? If they've been they've been there on the shelf for like 8 years, and I still haven't got around to watching them. Clearly, I'm not that bothered. So do I really need this stuff? It's the same, honestly, with like modern movies. Let's say from like the last 15 years. I've got a couple of shelves worth from the last 15 years. It's like nothing like what I got from the 80s or the 90s. But I've probably got a shelf and a half, maybe a bit more. And honestly, I can think of maybe 4 or 5 movies that I'm actually interested in watching again, and I'm likely to keep watching every couple of years. I'm thinking maybe Perks, Doctor Sleep, Ready or Not, Happiest Season, It's a Wonderful Knife. Everything else, not so much. Even ones that like I really enjoyed at the cinema, which is why I bought them, because I really enjoyed them at the cinema. And some of them I've either not watched again, or I've watched them once, and I've simply not been bothered about them. Like Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. I really loved that movie at the cinema. So bought it on Blu-ray, watched it a couple of years later, still enjoyed it. Haven't seen it since, in like 7, 8 years. Because again, I don't watch movies that often, and when I do, I tend to go for either like 80s movies, or if it is anything modern, something I just find honestly a bit more rewatchable. So it's like it's coming to the point now where I am not only, not going to be buying much in the future, I'm getting rid of stuff, because what's the point? What is the point in carting around 3 bookcases worth of movies if there's really only about maybe 1 bookcase worth that I'm actually going to watch again and again and again? What's the point? It's just, A, it's a waste of money, and B, it's just clogging up space and making me have to get a living space that is bigger than what I actually really need. Now again, I'm not saying I'm never buying another DVD or Blu-ray again. Like, if they ever got their fingers out of their asses and put Buffy on Blu-ray properly, I would buy that. There's a couple of other things like that. Debs. There's a couple of 2000s movies like Debs that haven't got a Blu-ray release. If that got a Blu-ray release, I would buy that, because that's one of my favourite fucking movies. But if you're talking about like blind buys and stuff like this and all this limited edition crap that they're putting out now, which costs a bloody fortune, you practically got to get a mortgage to get it. No, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. To be fair, I've never actually done that with those because I think they're a waste of money. Even for a favourite movie, I'm not forking out $100 just for a special edition set, £100, whatever. No, that's not happening, love. But I'm just kind of leaning off blind buys as well, and it's like, oh yeah, and maybe I'll be missing out, especially if I can't find it on streaming or whatever. I guess I'll just have to miss out because I've got more than enough to keep me entertained, really, realistically, than I even need. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be moving exactly. I haven't found anywhere, but I am going to look for something smaller than this because it's too big for me on my own. Me and just my little dog. And it's like, you know what? I just don't feel like carting all this crap around with me for the rest of my natural. I just don't. And that's why I'm almost done with collecting physical media.